Thank you for joining us today. Let us just wait for a few minutes for the rest of the attendees to join us. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at today's Medical Manufacturing Asia Exhibitor Technical Presentation webinar. Before we begin, we just have a few housekeeping announcements. A quick one, our speakers will be taking questions today. So if you do have any questions for them, please feel free to submit it via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. With that, I shall hand over to our first speaker, Bimal from Magma Engineering. Bimal, over to you, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And thanks, MMA, for this opportunity. So the first topic actually is reduced time to market through virtual molding. Since the time is given little, I will go through the slides in a faster mode. So what we are going to discuss here is I'm going to share, I'm going to introduce Sigmasoft to you guys in a short, very briefly. After that, we will see what is time to market. Then we will see a sequence of events, how we have like the gating location, material selection, and some of the things to optimize or to release the product to the market in a faster stage. After that, I will be here to take your questions. So feel free to send your questions through this Q&A room. Okay, so at first, world of Sigma. Sigmasoft is actually a German, it's a simulation software from Germany. Our headquarters is in Aachen, Germany, the southern part of Germany, which is actually founded in 1998. Actually, Sigma is a sister company of Magma, who are the world market and technology leader for metal casting simulation. Okay, that's a brief introduction. Then we straight away jump to the topic, time to market. Time to market is actually nothing but the time taken from your initial idea to the market, the product release to the market. Why it is important? Because it's give us the yearly market benefits, but also it's give us the room to improve if in your product. If there is any updates or modification need to be done in your product, then this TTM is give us the opportunity to improve that. So I'm going to show some examples of your sketch to the final product, how simulation can help us to make it faster. Okay, let's go and see that. So before that, I would like to introduce our partners like Arberg, Wacker, Polarform, this EVCon, these all partners, we worked together during the COVID pandemic to produce a mask for our people, since we face a shortage of masks during that time. So where we, during it's in a short time, we decided to take this project because a lot of people are died because of there is shortage in this face masks. So we work with all our partners to make it possible, and we produce thousands of masks for the people. So how we have done this, that's what we are going to see. How fast we have activated this project, and how soon we release the product to the market. Let's start with this design. Once we finalized, this is the product we are going to produce during the time, then we started the product design. But once we have the design, we don't know where to put the gate and which material is the best for mass production, because it's not for few people. It's going to produce for many people. So we need to choose the correct material. And the mold supposed to be suitable to produce a huge quantity. And then where to put the thermocouple in the mold to get in optimized temperature to homogeneous temperature in the mold, and whether the process is robust. All these consider after we start this product design. But once we got the design, we start to work with our simulation software in SigmaSoft to check one by one. First of all, gating point. On the day one, we start with the gating point location. We have different points getting location in our mind. Then we use SigmaSoft to find out whether these locations are correct, or from this which is the best one. So we have tested all these versions and find out that gate location at 12 o'clock is actually giving the balanced pressure distribution. And also we see there is no scorch during happen during the filling, and there is no air entrapment. So we decided to take this as the gating location. Once we decided the gating location, actually the next step is to find out the materials, which material is better, because it's need to produce a good quality part. At the same time, it should not take much time to produce. So we have tested different materials, and finally we conclude this Elastrosol LSR 50, 40, 60. It's the best because it takes off of the time compared with the other materials. And we find out it's at least need 32 seconds to get at least 99% of the parts cured. So this is done in the day 2 stage. Once we finalized actually the material, we have suddenly come out there is a changes in the product design. We have to include these features to make it more safer and all the things. So we wanted to check whether these additional features is there any problem with that, or is there any air entrapment because of the additional features. But we realized with the simulation results, but these additional features which not going to give any additional trouble to us. So we are going to proceed with this. That's an addition we made. Then after that, we have to include the mold. So far until the product wise, there is no issue. We have optimized the product and the gate location. But when we include, considering for the mass production for huge volume, we need to find out whether this mold is made or constructed in a proper manner, whether this mold is suitable for long run or not. So whether the heater's location is correct, how much energy we need to have to heat up this mold. This all the information is necessary because it's meant for the huge production. So with the mold design, it takes some time to design the mold, at least 1 week. After that, we include the mold inside the simulation to find out the temperature distribution. Along with the mold design, we also include all the process parameters, like because the injection molding process consists of many stages. So we include all the stages and the times in our simulations in order to get the more accurate information about the temperature. So because LSR is about, it's very sensitive to the temperature. There is a few degree differences in the temperature will leads to huge differences in cycle time. So we have to be very careful in terms of selecting the correct location of the thermocouple or heaters, all the things. So that's why we include the entire mold together with all the process parameters to understand the heating distribution. We also use multi-cycle analysis, which means it's not only one cycle to understand this temperature distribution. So we included more than 5 or more than 10 cycles to check whether is there any temperature increase after few cycles, because the temperature is going to increase and the material will cool down the mold. So there will be a fluctuation in throughout the cycles. So we want to identify, is there any excess temperature differences during the production cycle? That's why we use the multi-cycle analysis. And you can see the graph here. So the temperature is keep on increasing at some stages. But based on this, the temperature on the cavity is actually quite okay. On the cavities are quite stable, but we have some excess temperature at the center of the mold. So we have to optimize this. How to optimize? We can use either a different location of the heaters, but for this case, we actually wanted to test with a different thermocouple. Currently, actually, there are 8 heaters and controlled by 4 thermocouples. So we wanted to include 2 more thermocouples here. This is the current condition. We wanted to include 2 more thermocouples here, which means these 2 thermocouples controlled by this, these 2 heaters controlled by this thermocouple, and the bottom 2 heaters controlled by this thermocouple, and these 2 are individual. These 4 are individually controlled. That's how we stabilize this temperature. After including this thermocouple, the temperature differences is quite less, and it is uniform throughout the mold surface. Now you can see it was the previous results. After including the new thermocouples, we actually get a uniform distribution on the temperature distribution on the mold surface. Then once we decided, once we optimized all these parameters and the mold design, everything, we have to communicate to our partners, because there are 15 of our partners work together to make it possible. So we have a communication tool called Interact. So it is a free software you can download from our website, and all our partners had this tools, and we shared our information through these Interact features. And it was a useful tool, so they can understand what is happening inside the mold, and is there anything they need to add, anything venting or even any additional tools are need to be included in the mold. We discuss everything through this communication tool called WinTrack, and after that we started to fabricate the mold. So from day 1 to day 11, we already completed all the mold design and optimization in the mold design. Everything is done. Now we started to fabricate the mold. So it takes actually around a month to complete the mold. After that, we started the production of these face masks. So if you see, this is the 4-cavity mold run in the AUG machine. And the important thing, you can see the setting is around 32 seconds is the curing time, which we identified in our simulation software in the first stage of material selection. So we use the same setting, whatever we optimize in the SigmaSoft, and we started to use to produce the mask production. So in a summary, once we realize there is a shortages in the face mask, we immediately start to work with the product design. And on the day 1, we decided our gate location. And the next day, we actually selected the material. Actually, this is our partner Wacker material. They actually provide few materials to select, and we use simulation software to select the best material. And the day 3, there is a changes. The designers need to include additional features. We included in the simulation to find out is there any additional parameters we need to take care of, any venting or vacuum system need to include it for these additional features. Unfortunately, it was not necessary. So we proceeded with the same settings. Then we optimize our actually we understand on the day 10 we understand the temperature distribution with the current setting. After that, we optimize the heating distribution by including additional thermocouples. Then we start to produce the face masks. This is how we completed a big project within a short period, and we released the product to the market, because that's very short time given to us, and we made it possible during that time. I think that's the last slide of mine. I wanted to share this as very interesting project to you guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.
Thank you, Bimal. Yes, indeed, we have a question submitted by the audience. Let me read out to you. What if the simulation is done without proper full mold? How will it impact the simulation result?
So we need to know what is the purpose of the simulation. Is it if the simulation is to understand the filling behavior or the solidification behavior? Let's say if you want to find out what is the cycle time, I need to decide for this. Then you can use the simulation without the mold. Where you need to include the mold, if you want to include understand the heating distribution of the mold, that how this heating distribution affect your cycle time or the product quality, then it is necessary to include the mold.
All right. I hope that answered the question. And we have a second question. Can SigmaSoft simulate different kinds of designs in one simulation?
Oh, yes. Actually, we call this is the autonomous optimization, or even called a design of experiment project. If you have a few projects or few designs, for example, the first one, the gate location, is actually kind of DOE for me. We decide, we put different gate location, and we ask the SigmaSoft to choose the best one, which takes less pressure or balanced pressure distribution. Then SigmaSoft will show us the 12 o'clock getting point. So it is possible to find out. There is no limitation for that. You can be you can use 2 design up to unlimited. There are few methods you can use in the autonomous optimization. If you have more than 1,000 designs also, you can find out a better way to reduce your calculation time and find the best designs among them. So it is possible.
Great. So let's take the last question before we move to the next speaker. The last question, can SigmaSoft input the thermocouples at specific locations that I want, such as the mold or part?
Yeah, it is possible. In a virtually, you can place anywhere. There is no, it's limitation for you. But this, whereas you want to put the thermocouple, it should be repeatable in the actual mold. If you want to put this some places that is not possible in the actual mold, then it is not make sense for you. But in Sigma, in virtually, you have no limitation. You can place the thermocouple wherever you want to, either in the mold or in the part or in the insert. There is no issue. You can put anywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vimal.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you. So let us now move to our second speaker for today, Hans from Klockner Planterplast. Hans, over to you, please.
Yeah. I think it would be good. Yeah, I can share now. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining this webinar. I will talk about one thing which is not always in the big focus. This is medical device packaging and how important it is to have international compliance and robust logistics and concentrating on the Asia. My name is Hans-Dieter Laux. I'm responsible for the medical device business at Klockner Planterplast globally. We do have 31 plants in 18 countries across 5 continents. So you see in Asia, Australia, we have 4 locations. The company was started in 1965, and we entered the Asian market already in 2001 with production in Thailand. We have 2 divisions. The one is the Pharma, Health Protection and Durables, and this is where medical device packaging is part of. Beside pharma packaging, so you see we are very much involved in the pharma healthcare market and packaging, and I think that's very important and very helpful to understand the markets. The second is food packaging, all kind of food which you can package into rigid films. We are a global leader in recycled materials. We have a lot of R&D working to high standards of the markets. If you look to pharma, if you look to medical, that's very important. And we are looking as well to increase the value for customers in order to develop high value and cost efficient products. How can we support the medical device developments in Asia? I would like to concentrate on some current and very actual current challenges for medical device packaging. We have increased regulatory requirements. ISO 11607, ISO 10993 requirements are getting more and more important. And on top, there are even more requirements coming on top, like 13485. We have the European medical device MDR requirements and so on. Then we see more globalization. I would say medical device production is going east. There was a lot starting in US, it moved to Europe and it moves to Asia, and it is produced at the place where the demand is. Which means if there are transfers, it's important, and we heard it already, time to the market is of essence, that fast track validation is possible. And we have today the challenges of the global supply chains. They are disturbed. Security of supply is even higher priority as it was before, when we were used that everything is going smoothly, where we are today not in the same situation. Talking about regulatory requirements, and I think that's very important. 11607, 10993, these are the 2 main regulations for medical devices. And what we have done as a reply on that, we have tested our medical device films according to the relevant chapters of the 11607. We have done the biocompatibility tests for the films, and they can be stated as certificates that these films are really attested according to these standards, which means that it is easier and you have the documentation for a registration of the devices, even if it's together with the packaging, and this makes it easier and this makes it faster. Then we spoke about production transfer between regions, and I think it's very important to have a global network where all the materials are produced according to the same specifications. So which means you can be sure that what has been used in the Americas is the same as it is used in Europe and can be used in Asia as well. So when there is production transfer, packaging is transferred together with the medical device production, and then it is important and it's accelerating all the registration if the material is really the same and according to the same specification. As well, global support, if things are new and packaging is getting set newly, so to have in the regions on-site support, remote support of specialists, knowing already maybe the application before it was transferred, so that this setup is done very fast and quickly, and it's not disturbing and not delaying the launch to the market. And the product portfolio. There is a lot of products, and I will get to that in the next slide, used and polymers used for medical device packaging. And it's good to have the selection of the materials of different polymers. So it's mainly PETG for the class 1, class 2A medical devices because of sterilization, of rigidity, a long life, stability, but others like APET, polystyrene, polypropylene, PVC, or specialties together with GAG, KPC label I will show in a moment, barrier material, a special material for secondary packaging where the requirements are not so high, and it's important to be able to detect the right material, to select the right material, so that once you have finished all your registration, you can be sure the material, the device will be packed safely and the material will be suitable for the packaging it has to be. Cost-effective innovation. I think the standard packaging system which we have today, there is a base web, for example, an APET or an PETG, and then you are using Tyvek or paper together with the sealing lacquer. So the Tyvek is lacquered, and then at the end of the day, after forming and filling, it is sealed to the base web. KPC level is a little different. You already have a sealing layer on the base web. So which means this packaging material can be sealed directly against Tyvek. And we are talking here about rigid films. Rigid films, these are films, for example, for orthopedics, for cardiovascular instruments. So this is in the range between, let's say, 300 micron and up to 1000 micron. So as well for this rigid packaging, there is material available where you can use uncoated Tyvek instead of what is usually used, the sealed Tyvek. And there are some advantages. It is fully approved. You can get the full documentation you need. Full traceability of the material. So this is really in line with the 11607 requirements. You have the same protection and performance like with the standard material, but you can reduce the cost because the conversion cost for uncoated Tyvek is lower than for coated Tyvek. So overall, this packaging system can help to save money. The reduced risk of fibers and particles, this is mainly if you have a lacquer and you have some sharp medical devices, there is a risk that the lacquer is scratched and small particles will fall into the packaging. This can be avoided by using this material. And you have a slightly better permeation of the ETO when you have the sterilization process. So this means if you have production transfer between the region, you have as well a wide selection of material to be used, to be optimized for the medical device to be packed. As well, there is a reduced risk and complexity of supply chains by production in the region. I think we all have had the experiences in the last month. First, the Suez Channel was blocked. Then there is a lot of queuing up in the ports, so that we really see some interruptions and some challenges in supply chain. Producing in the area, and especially focusing on Asia, means that we have shorter ways and the complexity is shorter and the risks are lower if you produce in the region. And I think with all the experience, with all the what we have in the past on the global regulation and the development, we can support here as well an easier supply chain in the region. And therefore, KP has decided to set up the medical device production in our site in Thailand. This site has been founded in 2001 already. It's fully validated production and slitting. It's an ISO certified environment. We have been producing pharmaceutical films for the last 20 years. And we have a proven record of these high quality films. Now we can offer medical device packaging made from PET-G, APET, and PVC. And this is following our global specification. It is listed in the Global Drug Master File. So overall, this helps in any case of production transfer of medical device packaging to get material complying with the high standards in the region. So the lead time can be reduced, security of supply is increased through the proximity of the site and of the point to the medical device production in Asia. And this is something really important. Happy to offer this service to the medical device community and to support here as well acceleration and fast track launches to the market. So this all over is focusing on customer, on global network, following the ISO standards, have the full range of materials to ensure the package integrity with supply security and full compliance to the regulatory requirements. And this produced in Asia for the Asian region. Thank you very much. We will be at the MMA in Singapore. Happy to see you and happy to welcome you there at the end of August. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hans. So we just have one question here.
If there are any questions, happy to answer.
Yes. Let me read this question off to you. Does KP film with the sealing layer on the film allows or prevent delamination or tearing issues that may be faced when the sealing layer on the paper?
This cannot be sealed against paper because there you still need the sealing lacquer. But yes, we have done a lot of trials with opening of packaging together as well with Dow Chemicals, and the risk of tearing is really under control and was lower than we had sometimes with the sealing lacquer. So it's comparable, low risk of having fiber tearing using this material.
Okay, and do you need to upgrade any tooling for using KP Sealable?
No, it can be used on the same lines, on the same machines, and with the same tooling.
Perfect. So one last question. If you can share your experience, please, how the medical device customers in Europe and America choose the package material for the product.
I think this is depending on the company, and it's depending on the material. I think it's first is what is the experience, what is needed. If you have heavyweight devices, for example, it's PETG because of it's the most stable product. If you are looking to consumables at a very with lightweight and not being risky, there is a lot of APAT used, for example. And this is done case by case, really what is needed, what is the stability. And together we have an innovation center in US. We can help to develop the right packaging and to select the right material.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think we've answered the questions for your session. Let us now move to our last speaker for today, Dan from Fall Harbor. Dan, over to you, please.
Thank you, Daphne. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan, and I'm a sales and application engineer in Fall Harbor, Asia Pacific. Hold on, let me share my screen. Is the screen okay?
Yep, looks good.
It's good, okay. All right. So I'll move on to the contents today. So in a couple of minutes, I'll be introducing Fall Harbor and the range of products we cover. And I will share some of the many medical related applications and also Q&A. Fall Harbor is founded in 1947 by Dr. Fritz Fall Harbor, who is the gentleman right in the middle of the group photo shown on the top right-hand side of this screen. So right now it's a family-owned company, which is currently in the hands of the third generation. Headquarters in Chennai, Germany, nearby Stuttgart, with 13 international R&D and production sites, mainly in the Europe side, Germany, Switzerland, Romania, and Hungary. So with that, we have 32 international sales and service locations also, with currently 2,242 employees worldwide. So Fall Harbor Asia Pacific, in short terms, FAP. We are a 7-man team, total of 7 employees, with our managing director, Mr. Vester Tan, leading our team. So apart from supporting customers from Singapore, we also support customers from Malaysia, Thailand, India, rest of Southeast Asia, and also Australia, Taiwan, Japan, and Korea. We are manufacturers for DC motors and drives, and we are specialized in miniature. So range of products we have, DC motors ranging from 6mm to 38mm in diameter. So we have 2 types of DC motors. One is precious metal, another one will be graphite commutations. So both have pros and cons. Depending on situation and applications, we'll use the appropriate types of DC motor for the application. We have brushless DC motors with 3mm to 44mm in diameters. So for these brushless DC motors, usually they are used on applications which requires longer lifespan and also precise positioning with small space and limitation in the space allowable for the application. We have stepper motors also, ranging from 6mm to 66mm in diameter. Also, we have customized solutions whereby we will convert the rotary motion action to linear motion using lead screws or linear components. So apart from linear components, we also have multiple options for the motor itself, such as special lubrications for space applications, or even special cutout on the shaft of the motor, or even the gear head. So next, we have encoders both incremental and absolute encoders. Gearheads, we have planetary, which is usually used on applications that require higher torque. We have spur gearheads for applications that require lesser noise generation or even lesser torque. And also we have spur gearheads with zero backlash for those very backlash sensitive applications. Next, we have linear motors with a continuous force ranging from 1 Newton to 9 Newton. Also, we have drive electronics, both speed and motion controllers. Depending on applications, we will propose the right drive for the right applications. Next, I'll go into some of the medical applications that we have. For lab automation, usually lab automations will need fast execution and high accuracy for minimal error. So other than that, they require high speed reliability, and usually they are limited space for motion system. So for this case, we use DC motors and brushless motors and stepper motors. Surgical robots. The surgeon operates on a console with electronic manipulators or joysticks. So this can be done in remote. So there are cases that some surgical robots and the surgeon, they are actually both in a different location, but they are able to do surgeries with the high tech surgical robots. So usually for this application, motors must deliver high torque for high dynamics, small, light, and reliable. So with this, we have brushless DC motors and encoders for the arm joint, brushless DC motors ranging from 10 millimeter to 22 millimeter in diameter for the tools, and also brushless DC motors with integrated motion controller for the gripping function. Haptic feedback for surgical operation. So haptic feedbacks are usually very important for surgeons to feel possible obstructions during surgical operation. So by using DC motor with encoder, it is possible to have a feedback of the force exerted during the movements. So with that, the force sensors signal is used from the force controller to deliver a defined current to the motor, whereby the motor will run at a certain torque to provide strong or weak haptic feedbacks. Infusion pumps, usually battery-operated devices need highly efficient motors, lightweight, low noise, and reliable. So for this case, we have used DC motor, brushless DC motor, and also stepper motors with linear components. Okay, next, move on to the prosthetic links. Usually for this kind of operation and application, high power and light in small form is mandatory. And with that, the requirement will even go until the high dynamics and precise movements. So in this case, we use encoders with precise feedback on motor position. Portable respirators and ventilation systems. Motor usually activates the blower to ensure correct airflow in the mask. Battery-operated respirators need high motor efficiency. And with that, they will require long lifespan and low noise vibrations. And we have selected our brushless DC motors with integrated speed controller for this application. For more information, you can feel free to contact us. Also, if you are physically going to the MMA 2022, we are in booth 2T03. So if you would like to know more of our updates, you can follow us in our Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or even follow us on our YouTube page. I've come to the end of the presentation. So is there any question and answers?
Thank you, Dan. Yes,
Yeah,
we've
thanks.
got 2 questions here. Let us start with
Right.
the first one. Please share with us, what are the medical applications in Singapore that use Fall Harbour?
What are the medical applications? What type you mean?
Yes.
We have some that is hold on, let me see. We have ranges from optics, endoscopy systems, and surgical robots. And we also have applications where there are research and R&Ds from the institutes, and they come up with their own massage robots. Yeah, so we do have our motors in their systems.
Okay, and the next question would be, other than the medical applications, what can the motors be used in?
Actually, outside of medical applications, our motors are also widely used in the semiconductor, defense, and also automation machines. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Let me see if there are any more questions. Looks like that's all we have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, our speakers, for your time today, and thank you to the audience as well for joining us today. So as the speakers have mentioned, they are all exhibiting at Medical Manufacturing Asia, which will take place from 31st August to 2nd September, physically at the Marina Bay Sands. So do come down and see them. If you have more questions, you'd like to take a look at the products, this will be the best time to engage with them in person. If you have not registered your visit, please do so. You will be able to do so on our website by scanning this QR code. Visitor registration is free of charge. We look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Thank you and goodbye.